Hello, Chris. Is anybody in yet?
Yes, Tommy, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hello to everybody that's out there.
We are streaming live on YouTube also. For those tuning in, we have board member, board president Bessie Allen and board vice president Tommy McCabe are online. We're waiting for a quorum, so just hang in there with us. Good evening to anybody that is tuning in on YouTube live for the live stream. We have 2 board members and a few of our district administrators on right now, but we're still waiting for 1 additional board member to make a quorum. So if you'll just be patient and hang in there with us, we'll start the meeting as soon as possible. Good evening, everyone that's listening out there. We just got our third board member, so we're getting signed in and ready to go, and then we can call the meeting to order. So thank you for hanging in there with us.
Okay. Good evening. We'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 5:28 right now, and we have 3 board members present: Tommy, Ramona, and myself. If Mr. Osgard, our superintendent, can go through the agenda with us, please.
Do roll call first.
Oh, roll call. Thank you. Here. Yes.
Here.
Gary Grandson. Ramona Howard here. Mark Little. Madam Board President, there is a quorum, you may proceed with the meeting.
Okay. We'll go to the adoption of the agenda. Number 2.0 is superintendent's. 2.1. We don't have anything under new business. Old business, we have acknowledgement and recognition of Pineal Elementary Schools Student of the Month. Then presentation and updates on the Pineal Unified, the nest studies. Approval of board minutes for September 2, 2020. Approval of vouchers signed in between board meetings. And then we have approval of the consolidated board report from July 1 to October 2nd. On to, let's see, got myself way out. Okay, presentation and the adoption of the policy, which is volume 32 done by ASBA, and that has to do with employees policy. Then the next one is 4.9, that would be sponsors, approving the sponsors on their supplemental stipend, so forth. Then 4.10, discussion and possible action to approve the resignation of some elementary school team leaders. Then going on to select the new team leaders to replace the ones that are resigning. They're not resigning from the school, they're just resigning from the team leader. Okay, then discussion and possible action to approve the employee code of conduct, which we're just talking about right now. Discussion and possible action to approve the security supervisor job description. Discussion and possible action to advertise the security supervisor position for school year 2020 to 2021. And discussion and possible action to schedule a special board meeting in October for the annual evaluation of the superintendent per board policy CBI. Then we have executive session if he needs to. You have personnel that would be the hiring of a maintenance person. And then another personnel on the agenda would be the hire of a custodian. Then on to hiring also a custodian. I think I got it. Then a bus driver, personnel, these are all personnel. And some resignations of teachers. Then going on to three personnel resignations under personnel. And then closing adjournment. That's the agenda for tonight.
Madam President, members of the board, I would ask the board to adopt the agenda as presented, except remove item 6.6. She resigned, but then took back her resignation, but it was after we published the meeting. So please adopt the agenda, but remove 6.6.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Up to the new 6.6 under personnel.
Okay. 6.6 is deleted under the motion. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay. Any other discussion on the agenda? If not,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
motion is carried with 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Now we have an official agenda.
Thank you.
Moving on. Superintendent's report.
Madam President, members of the board, good evening. I just have a short report this month. Our enrollment is holding pretty steady at 1,011 students. We were at 1,010 prior to fall break. That is down a little bit from last year, but that's a statewide, nationwide thing. School enrollments are dropping because just a lot of kids are either being homeschooled or just staying home because of the COVID issues. The state is still requiring the 10-day rule as far as consecutive absences. So if we lose contact with a student, they are dropped for non-attendance. And we're not doing home visits like we normally would just because of the COVID issues. So we call, we email, send letters, we do everything that we can do short of actually going to visit. Human resources update. We're finalizing the transportation director. We have several interviews scheduled for an activities director, our athletic director. That position is currently vacant. We're always looking for substitute teachers. The elementary principal, we have interviews in process right now. We still need 2 exceptional student services, which is special education resource teachers and a preschool special education teacher. Middle school, we still need art, a special education teacher, although I heard we have a potential applicant for that. And we need the instructional coach. In the maintenance department, we have some items on the agenda later on under personnel to fill those. And we're always looking for substitute bus drivers. Housing renovations are ongoing. I took some pictures, but I couldn't get them to attach in here. But we've done several of the houses are really moving along quickly. Let's see, what else? Transportation, our buses are going out. They're doing Wi-Fi parking and doing Wi-Fi. They're also doing food service and dropping off instructional materials and picking things up, doing the food service. There's also, I have some links in there that anybody who's viewing the agenda you can click on those links and it will show our Dine Story Night and the Miss Pam's and PHS pageant, and they're also on the YouTube channel where this is streaming, so you can go back and watch those presentations. Tuesday, October 20th is the ASBA Navajo County meeting. It's online, it'll be through Zoom, I believe. And then the annual conference for ASBA is now an online event. That's in December. So instead of going to Phoenix, it's now going to be an online event. And the NISA conference, National Indian Impacted Schools Association, they have canceled their conference in Las Vegas due to COVID concerns and trying to work with the hotel and all the restrictions. It just isn't working. So that one's canceled, and everything else through the end of the year is online. So the county meeting is free. The annual conference is a paid event. So if you want to participate in the annual conference, please let me know or let Tanya know, and we can register you and get you on. But that's really the update for this month.
You include the voucher? Oh, that's not there.
Yeah, those are under new business.
Okay.
Can I, may I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Madam President, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Tommy.
Go ahead.
My question was this, I've always seen the grader go out. Just wanted to see if we can get, see where the grader has gone.
Okay, we can do a report at the next meeting.
And just wanted to know how and who's paying for it when the grader goes out.
Tommy, that one is being paid by the chapter.
Yeah, just include that.
Okay.
That way, you know, if it ever comes up, that we do have it on record that
Yeah,
it's asked about.
that's supposed to be billed from the business office to the chapter to do, then we reimburse them.
Okay,
See,
now I know.
yeah, no one is doing the roads, so we took it up on ourselves to go through that.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned with some of the routes.
Okay, well, we'll have we can't have a discussion, remember, on the superintendent's report. So we'll prepare a presentation for the next meeting.
Hakoshi.
Okay. Let's move on to no old business, huh?
No.
The only one we have now is the new business.
4.1.
Acknowledgement and recognition of Pinion Elementary School Students of the Month. There's no one to present.
I will. So, Madam President, members of the board, we had a recommendation from the elementary school on the Student of the Month, and that's Brian, I'm going to say the last name wrong, NGO. That came from Susie Benali, a fourth grade teacher. Brian was nominated for Student of the Month by his teacher, Susie Benali. She states Brian has perfect attendance. He's turned in all of his online assignments. He's a new student to our school, and his father is a pharmacist at the Pinion Clinic. as his teacher, I'm very much happy to have him in my class. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person. That's just a reminder that no teacher has actually met their class in person yet this year. Everybody's still virtual. But congratulations to Brian, and thank you to Mrs. Benali for making that recommendation. There's no action on that item unless there's questions.
I have a question. The recommendations that we get on these students of the month, do the teachers send anything, like maybe a certificate or anything to the students?
The schools typically handle that. They'll do a certificate. I know middle school used to do little gift cards and different things to recognize students, staff, and parents when we had those. But I'll follow up and be sure that they received something, so.
I think we need to make a big deal out of the student of the month.
Exactly, yes.
The month, yeah. We need to do more than just a certificate. Remember that thing talking about making a medal or something? Have that been discussed to make us?
Oh, to make one? No, we can,
Make one.
I took a picture of it so we can, yeah.
The one that similar to what Navarre County has. They recognize their staff and they really they put out a big thing about it. The student staff of the month type of thing. We should do that with staff students.
Yeah, I took a picture of it the last time I was down there, so we can see if we have anybody on staff that could make something like that. So we'll look into that.
Okay. Okay, well, congratulations to Brian. Next item, presentation and update on the Unified Schools studies.
That is, I will stop my screen sharing right now, and Valencia Edgewater, our Dine Studies Coordinator, is with us, and Camelia Hosteen, Federal Programs, are here. Valencia is sharing her screen now, so you'll be able to view. Valencia, I see you're there, you're sharing, so go ahead.
Is my camera on? No.
Nope.
Yes, you're on.
Your mic is on, yes, so, and you're sharing, we're seeing your presentation, so.
Okay, Hagoshina. Yeah, Nand Ish, Nand Anotlenigi. Quagi old has Angi, but an SG, Anotle, Ado Alchina, Nakachina, Quagi, Dauskagi. Nihik A, she, you see, bad date, Quagi old has Angi. Nantkins Lahagi, Ako, I don't lane, Nijit, Nashjit, Joel, put ego Iban, C case, Adnek. Ako Dine Studies program, but it nigo Ecuador, the way you'll be getting eat and the coordinator Ainsle, Quado Shado Katanashwo. A coco could ego Asian on Nish Ado, do Shevano Senigi Chishidine Ansle, Ado Tlezasana Bashish Chin, Dilt Akia Ani Dashe, Adon the Tedeshkijni Dashanala, Ado Shachina Ma Ideshkijni Yadash Chin, Ado look at the ne. Dabanala, Ado, Belkin Schnanigi le, the Wijibi Todet Naga. A call Ade on age of a Gigi, Edgewater. You see, she ain't late. Look at the net, Hate, a Gigi, a call a could Ado, quite Asian on this not at Asla Anahe, a call di quite own his is Janet Dishly. Nas Nes not a Haljinger, a Kunzaja na has Ashidoni. Ako Dikwishi na Hayada Kodo Chanale Miss Charlie could dig it Albananish Igila Asana Haja Ako Ida Edi Kodo Vision do mission Yitlenigi Baal Tra Quagin Dal Nishigi Yes Hadedi La Ako Dine Studies program Jiko Visionigi Nihizado Nihe Old East Benahodil Ash. We will relearn our language and our way of life. Aro mission on a hit it ego do na kin hitting legal, nihiza cho ego, nihe all in the dogi, but ego ibaka. Without hesitation, we take it upon ourselves to revive and sanctify our way of life by using our language. Ako di kwa egi just kao, nihizad linigi, jo the nebazad, digi. Allah ban si case do le to bana hodil at ada a ben nache de ne ben saha case igi do kenaz igi do hanne igi do big echo in nanigi jo digi to digi kan do le win zenoshi akut ego khadelia ako instructional staff igi kwa igi Pinyon Elementary School jago be khadol jish Kwado shamasana bidishnigo by Dina Nakai a Navajo language igi 19 Adon da Shade Bidishne, Jacqueline Paul Stillman, a Navajo culture. Adon le middle school de. Le has tradon le say be dayoltragi, Ecuador, Shade, Sherry, Navajo language 19. Ado Shanale, Miss Charlie, a Navajo culture 19. Adon le high school jago the Shadeke Aquagi, 19. Gloria Denny, a Navajo language 1. Ado Navajo language 2. Ado Navajo history and government. Ado the foundations of Navajo culture. Quit ego. Di at ego. Quit egonchalchin and 19. Ado the shade and need to go dashnish. The queen does it then. Dobinashni Dr. Dolly Manson, Jo Ainley, Rocky Ridge, Adeo, Naga, Ako, a Navajo language 1 igi, it a 19. Akoko Benny Nanigi, Jo a di Quagi Ultra. Le Jo the August Yada, Handat Siltra da, a freshman igi, at Navajo language 1 gune, a kune a enroll Adalia. Adonle sophomore do junior dan linigi, the ones that didn't take Navajo language 1, they are now enrolled in Navajo language 1. Ako ebini na Dr. Manson is only teaching Navajo language 1. So quite only $1,000. Ako le you will hand le Department of Diné Education Dodi Jean Ilne. AAD Itnel hagi hanedil you will hand down a odla will yenda oral Diné language assessment. Ako shaho anatza. Ako you will hand down a edi chidenil in that ako edigi chinebe assessing del in that ade on need to go a Diné language proficiency assessment. Kwagi DLPA bakagi Diné language proficiency assessment. So what I did was I took the original slides that talk about this assessment and I just pull some slides from there. So it's not the whole presentation. But so the 12th. So we only assess 4 grade levels. We have kindergarten here, 4th grade here, 8th grade, and 12th grade. Now this assessment was done in October, so fall of last school year. I think quite that was a assessment the only ones that we were able to fully get all the grades, all the students in that grade was the 8th grade. So that's why you see this, purple line, and there was so this purple line represents 8th grade. Ako di kwagi dot ejigi a 12th grade. Adon dat di kwagi tat ego dot ejigi a digi a kindergarten it. Ado sogi a 4th grade it. Ako alke hona let me go to the next slide real quick first. So based on the assessment, di kwado, this is the proficiency scale. Di kwagi. Beginning, yesne. The speaker listens silently with no response. Ado oist emerging. The speaker's pronunciation contains numerous errors and is at times unclear. Ya konizi. Ado Yichiniya, Yichigal, Yaniya, Yakahaya. So DA scores. This is the highest proficiency. The speaker uses grammatical accuracy, relates to personal experiences, expands on their thoughts, ideas. The speaker's pronunciation easily intelligible without errors. So egit albuka. So beginning to proficient. So depending on how they responded, the assessment is only in the target language. In this case, the neck aya. So we only ask the questions in the language, the neck achigo, not kid. So if they respond, then we score them based on their response. So looking at this data, let's start with kindergarten. So this green line right here is kindergarten. So right here, they're in the emerging, they scored from 1 to 6. 4th grade, Aron da 8th grade, ingo, Ades ahigi, eti nana. Ako kude na kits ada ashon, approaching. So overall, our students are testing within the emerging and approaching proficiency levels. The high school students are doing well comprehending the language and have more oral language use than any of the other grades tested. I mean, this is kind of a little bit misleading because they're not here, but they are further along than the other grades. And then one high school tested in the competency proficiency. So one of them tested in this category. Now, this one is, so this basically, a lot of our kids are in this blue or turquoise shaded category, emerging. So the test elements, the parts of the test, there's an introduction part. Repeating. So all they do is repeat after you. Sadiki. Whatever you're saying, they just repeat, and we have to stop where they begin to we repeat one time and they have to repeat after us, and then the sentences get longer and longer. So wherever they make a mistake, that's where we stop. Ado and the pictures and videos. Ziki. Kodo ado le nash ogoda. Edo dai le ado le national kiddo. Kade bahol net. The Janigo. Akut ego kwaki. That's this assessment. Ado scenario gi kodo le haidata yao dishe hait o haida namasandon cheda but iyago kwakita hashit ego chiyaniki what order di linta, but no, like stuff like that. So these are what they're tested on. And so right here in these this yellow and this green, it's a lot of comprehending it. That you get the tranche with all number the kiddo. Ado not the neck at you. Not the hiki that but zinish the neck at you. So that's what this is. So if we look at kindergarten, so they did good here. I mean, these scores are still low, but I'm just, just basically showing that where each of the grade levels did good. So in kindergarten, we have the picture and the scenario and the introduction, they were pretty low. And then right here in the red, when they were repeating after us, they did really well. So that was interesting. 4th grade is, low in the scenario and then low in the picture. So just remember, this green and yellow is all oral production. So they did well in repeating, and then their introduction, they did well. So, and then we go to 8th grade. So kind of like the same, they're not sadiki, and then when they respond, auto repeating is low. It was difficult for them, but then their introduction, Auto kwaiki 12th grade, you know, it goes up a little bit. So that's the Dine language proficiency assessment. So abe was the year auto ashi on the here stop about Nelson. Because linigi adigi do yo be yel tita tasitli don hachina do nke so ken hinala catch no setigi benachem be ahosen adon the dashak at the stop model jet and linigi shigit a hegin dat higi stop o yo neck at ya daltita a ko e behosenia a ko. So that's the Dine language proficiency assessment. I want to move on to the JOM needs assessment. So what is the students' feedback? What do they want? And what do they, you know, what are their wishes? What is important to them? So I released this by email, the survey on February 22nd. And then I think we closed it in March. I was trying to remember the exact dates, but I didn't get the exact, I think it was like mid-March or April we closed this. So we got 103 responses. So you can see the yellow high school did of the 103, high school is at 63%, out of middle school is at 12, and then elementary is at 25%. And then, so that's how the response rate is by school. Auto Navajo language, culture, and history is important to me. That was a question. This green one says yes. So 93% of the 103 respondents said yes, it's important to me. 7% said no, it's not important to them. Okay. So we had at the beginning, when I first got here, there was a lot of concerns about the cutting the program and all this stuff. And that has, you know, a lot of different reasons for that. But so we asked the question, you know, how much instruction would you like as students? So right now at the elementary or at last school year at the elementary and even now, it was only, all across the district almost now because of distance learning, 45 minutes once a week. And so 34 of the 103 said, yeah, that's fine. But majority of them, like 39, 18, and then here, they want a little bit more time, 45 minutes a day, all the way to immersion. So I just wanted to share that with you. So 67% of the respondents would like more time. Now, we are using the World and Native American Language Standards, as well as the Department of Dine Education, the standards from there. So this question is specifically to the Dine content standards. Ako ashla as on nahalon. Kwaagi Navajo oral language is one standard. Auto culture sto. Character building sto. History is another standard. Auto government is another standard. Ako di kwaagi alchina nabadal kid. Which Dine study subject do you believe is most useful for you to become college and career ready? Ako di kwaagi janath ingo. E kwaagi. Sad be yati igidane. 67. Auto kona e haneto nike ol iligi. Jo e di bedahadil al. Auto e bekede nana e kwaagi. Na kate na hanet dane. And then you have character building and government. So this is the students' response. And if you look at, and I didn't have any slides from like national data from Native American children or youth. A lot of this is the same. If you look at that data, language and culture are always the top two. If you look at Native American youth and you know what is important to them. Let me move this here. So this was interesting. I asked this question, incorporating technology into my Navajo language, culture, and history classes are important. I asked this question before COVID. And the reason why I asked this question is, I should adansa case only the next college to Ilka. And I took a Navajo, I got my AA degree in Navajo language, and I took a linguistics course, and I had to write 12 pages using Navajo font. And the bond says case So I asked this question, and so incorporating technology into language use, into language learning. So I asked, do you want to learn how to make digital stories? Do you want to learn how to make educational videos? What about memes? If you're like in social media, they create those funny memes and they add like the Nebuza to it. And then this other question is how to use Navajo font, like so I can type in the ne and then other. So right here, about 103, a little bit more, over half, they want to learn how to use the Navajo font. Oops. Okay, so looking at that data, and then also looking at our, let me get rid of this here. Looking at our teachers' instructions, I wanted to see, in the training that I received, so target language use. So this is kind of the tool that I started using, and I haven't get back to this tool yet, but we had covered, I went in to observe some of the classrooms, and then I found this tool. It's a focus feedback tool, and it's for language teachers. And so 90% of target language use from the teacher and from the students is what I was looking for when I did the observations. So January 14th and February 5th are the observations that I did. Fully observed, there was like very little target language. It was a lot of translation. Although no translation into English, again, there was still like gesture and body language use. Fully observed, meaning that, I was able to observe that they were using the language. Not applicable or not observe. Not observe is I didn't see, I heard majority in English. So if you see this across, that's where the teachers were at in their instructions. So that's what I looked at for the observation. So if you look at this, 90% in the target language use, it's not observed. This basically is this data here, but in a graph. And then the no translation into English, and then gestures and body, so it's not observed. So I was looking, so then I started to, really ask the teachers, some of you have been to immersion training. We practiced a little bit. We didn't have enough time, but we did practice a little bit. And then, and some of the teachers did know. So then, let's see. So then on the 7th, I went back to observe, and then on the 28th, and you can see that we were going from not observe to where we're headed in the right direction. But there wasn't enough time to compare that with student data, because then we had spring break and then COVID happened. So the question was distance learning. How are the Navajo language and culture teachers doing with distance learning? Well, my response is that a lot of our teachers, not only in Navajo language and culture, are, some of them are having a difficult time. And the reason for that is because, before COVID, we were not using a lot of technology into our classrooms. We were using it maybe for PowerPoints, but it was very limited. And a lot of the use of the technology tool itself, laptop, beyond typing, like creating an interactive slide and all those things, those were and are still challenging for some of our instructional staff. So everything is set up in Google Classrooms, and the teachers set up their lessons in there. And then it depends on each of the school. So some of them are using Google Meets to do their interaction with the students. They have a certain time that they log on. They have the students log on. Of course, some of the teachers are using Zoom, and that's for the synchronous learning. Now, elementary last first quarter, they didn't do the synchronous part. They weren't really embedded into the schedule. This quarter, we're going to start seeing the exploratory teachers, which is PE and, language culture, and then computers. They're going to be doing the live sessions this quarter. So some of the teachers are doing screen recording. Screen recording, you're just recording your screen, and if you can see my arrow move around. Then some of them are using video recordings and YouTubes to kind of to teach on their certain subjects and content. So, and then the use of tech tools to enhance student engagement. There's a lot of tech tools and apps, and so they're using like gamification. When you're playing a game, an educational game online, you create it and you embed it into your instruction. And the students, there's a lot of research that gamification really helps. So we're at that part where we're learning those things. And it is a little challenging for some of us. The other things that I really encourage is the use of audio recording, because as language learners, and this language learners could be at any age, what I hear and what research says is that they listen. Like, so I know a lot of my friends, they say like, I listen to KTNN because that's the only time I can hear somebody talk in Navajo, because I live in town and nobody talks in Navajo. You're the only one, so they listen to KTNN. So when we upload the instructions, I try to encourage them to have some type of voice to the voice recording that the kids can reference back to, so that they can hear those sounds and they can hear, how the sentences are structured. Okay, so then professional learning community, PLC. So I was able to now, first quarter, and then now second quarter, I meet with the teachers once a week if the schedule permits, if there's no holidays or no fall breaks. We meet once a week. This Monday, I didn't get to meet with middle school and high school, but I will meet with them next Monday. Elementary, we meet on Thursdays. During the PLC time, I usually ask a question like, what do you think you need help on or you don't understand? And then if they have a question, and if I can't answer it, I'll research it real quick and we'll kind of do a review during that time. So like how to use Vocaroo, how to make an interactive Google slide, okay. So then the next question was the immersion program. The immersion program, I pushed it to next school year. So school year 2021. So there was an interest survey data. When I first got on board with Dine Studies, that first month, Camille handed me a survey and said, this survey you need to do. So I did. And I didn't even write down how many responses I got on any of these slides. But so do you think it is important for your children to speak in Dinepazad? So quite a lot of them said very important. And then some said important and not important. And then if the net language immersion classroom were created, would you enroll your child in that class? So 88% of the ones that took the survey. So there's a large interest. And then do you think the net language immersion school should be created to help children speak, read, and write the net language? And then 88.9% said yes. So right now we have Shamasana Justina Jones. She is in the regular kindergarten class everywhere at the elementary school. And she will transition to be the kindergarten immersion teacher when the school year comes. In researching immersion programs, immersion program nigo llaho dat el deje ako ni chine bazadiki yihuido ato ne de dot leil win seno asati nahalo asati da kao li juk adigate el in the elementary school je aje belagana bazadiki isi chon quit ego not tin ako. The plan was maybe to have one class in that elementary school to be the immersion class. Ako akul yago she kodoban sas keso adon da and also the research does say that they're going to continue to hear English surrounded by them. So in the cafeteria, go china quite kindergarten, lunchtime ya ijeo, as china belganic at yadash tio. I don't that quite balt I don't that nishigi belganic at it ya yadash tio. Quite belgana, bazarigi yisine dole. Ako asati bahas ago, aro asati nda atiho. I don't le bastion. Should it so, but not was or le quaggy be na kieho, asati, quaggy bus driver gaten, quado chinnet neck at yastio. A quit ego you see balanan sendo balana needs then a coho quit ego benina, jodo jo ben yehasht edit eda, the schneego yeah, quit a late 2021 though 2022. A quit ego hadro opahast ahodo nilton seno yeah nas de schneego a quit ego nasco et ako this school year the goal is to see if we can designate a separate classroom away from English speakers and to put them separately to see if we can feed them, so like isolating them so that they're around Navajo language the whole entire time. And then there's another component where the parents giving them strategies and really encouraging them to use the language with their kids. Ato hajo adola bansi kesta to ato hajo bahad neta ko benin quite on his district-wide, we have the cultural sensitivity. I did a cultural sensitivity training here at the school district. So with the amount of teachers that are coming to school, that are working here for us, I'm not sure what percent is non-Navajo, maybe about half that's it. I was given the task to do cultural sensitivity training. And some of the responses that I've received after doing this training with the staff, especially those that have been teaching here for a long time that are non-Navajo, one of the interesting responses was that, for as long as I've been here, I didn't know this. So this is the beginning of my slide. I just want to go through it real quickly, just because, I want to share it with you. So cultural sensitivity, and then I introduce myself. So this is what I covered, like the Navajo Nation, how many square miles, it's the largest inter-reservation, the Chanel Auto census, the census data from 2010 census. And I talk about how this in itself could also be inaccurate when it comes to chapters, because a lot of our people don't really participate in the census. So 47% of our population, tribally enrolled Navajos live off the reservation on border towns and cities. And then I kind of shared this with them. And then I talked about the reservation itself. And then Kwa'iki, this is from the Navajo Times, specifically on Pinyon. And then I also do mention that, the chapter officials say that the population is probably more than 2,751. And then I talk about these executive orders and how they came about. And I shared a little bit about the 1882 executive order and the Navajo land dispute. And then I, shared where Pinyon is. So I talk about the school, like when the elementary school was established, and then also a little bit about the chapters and where the kids come from. And then here's a map gene. And then all these hearts are where all the chapters are located, where the kids, commute from. And then the yellow here is all the border towns. So I indicate that di kodo nakachine kwaki. So some of the work that that we've been doing is translating, translation. So PUSD, Penang Unified School District, they have their own vision and mission, just like Dine Studies. I call Every Learner Future Ready, and I work with some of the local staff here to translate this. And the way we translate it is adult if they click on this, they can hear the audio. I emphasize kwagi nakhalchin di kwagi sagi bahol adopan so case additional. And then I go into kado hake kehas angi ado kenas tiki e kwai isigo di kwado Dr. Lee e adanend lingo. He published a book this year. He published several books, and so I use his books. I directly quote from there. In Dine, families consist of nuclear family unit, the extended family unit, clans and relations with the earth, and then I talk about that. And then I explain how does Ke work. And this is a very, it's a sticker by not one of our youth here in Pinyon, but our Navajo youth. And she, in her interpretation, using what do you call it, modern art, I guess, traditional art, she created the sticker, this probably being her, and this is the lineage. So di ko aki bahoshna le stanat le hebtsane kut ego adone and linigi idishno bahoshna. And then I do this, and then I share with them this map. What does this map mean? So this map, and they answer, what this map means. And so it's just basically the conquest of lands from Native peoples. And I make sure that they know that occurred in our history. And then I share a really quick history, 1800 to present, Navajo history. And I talk about like natural resource exploitation, World War II, livestock reduction, really quick. And then I show this video, which sums it up really quick. And then, so I also, share with them national data for Native American youth. Culture and language is what they value. Education, and then here is how do you facilitate as an educator? How do you become culturally responsive to Nakhalchine? Again, I tell them, this word is in our vision and mission statement. The neck etchico, all these students, and so I share some of these with them. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly and then go back to this one. So we have the Dine Stories, the virtual teaching nights, and that's what Chris talked about here. We also did the virtual pageant in collaboration with middle school. And then again, the translation work with the PUSD mission and vision, the PUSD pageant roles and responsibilities. So all these things that require translation, we're putting them on Google Slides, and we're adding audio recording so that, next year, if somebody's going to do the pageant, or if they need to know what the vision and mission is in Danek Etche, those things are readily available for them. So that's the update that I have. Not off kid dots. I'm probably way over.
Good evening, Ms. Edgewater. Board member McCabe there. I just want to say, Hans Zate La Hol Jishin emerging no the Queen of Hidachi. Bohodest Aro by Yaot Aro Needin the Quigo Goshi between Shlijihanot and I couldn't hinandad and the stone hinandal da kai a immersion immersion a sure we get this thing go ya za then it's not nishigi a de hashin so go a ajiga da no go od alago ba honizi quite Asana Kheda Kude Minnesota go Nigal Taradise the Quigo Shay Kutaria Aro the Quigo staff Nas Kane. The whole emphasis of that conference was about language immersion. So it's a good thing how the way you presented and the way you had it all outlined of when immersion will take place, and it's just a work in progress. This is a new way of education. This is a new way of getting our kids to learn. Teachers on Linigi. This is a new thing. This is a brand new thing. This virtual learning. The Kuigoshi Ashini Shi Kundashnish. 10, 20 years. Everybody probably feels like a first year teacher with this virtual learning. So we just gotta keep at it. Practice makes perfect. Just like Chindon, the Ora Ahda Nitla Hadan Le Kodonda Istra. They put that another old college level. The other the online classes a lot. Aj de Kashi Dobitlan Aradores. Halchin she a rido ka ad. Shehud Avans this case. Always have a positive outlook for our kids. Aro, thank you for your presentation, and I think I have a better outlook on how this whole thing is going to come about. So, yeah, Valencia.
Yes, thank you, Valencia, and Camille Hosteen, Federal Programs, our JOM committee, our IEC, Indian Education Committee, for compiling all that, and to our Dine Studies teachers. We're fully staffed right now. We haven't been for a while, so it's nice that we have everybody in place again. Just unfortunate that we're not live in the school, that we're trying to do all this virtually, but thank you, Valencia, again, for your presentation. Anybody that's watching, it'll be recorded and they can watch it again, but if you can send your slides, we can also post those online so people could view the data. It's kind of hard to see on the shared screen, so we could actually post those slides with the data.
Well, I'll do that, thank you.
So there's no action on that item unless there's anything else.
I think that one of our fourth retreats or something that would be the time to really discuss this program about immersion.
Bessie, you're on mute. Oh, yeah, you're on mute. So we.
Thank you. For your presentation. It's really interesting that we're beginning to develop. I know it's a slow process, and we need to work on it with the staff.
Okay. So, whoops. Thank you again. Next item is 4.3, approval of board minutes for September 2nd, 2020. If you had an opportunity to review those, we would just need a motion and a second to approve them.
Okay. Moving on. Do we need to, I thought this was all under one.
No, we don't have a consent agenda because it's
We don't
special.
have the consent agenda.
Yeah, so we're on 4.3, approval of the board minutes.
Okay. Do we need a motion to approve the Valencia's presentation? No. The motion made by Ramona to go ahead and approve the September 2nd minutes. Do I hear a motion? Oh, she motioned and I need a second. I'll go ahead and second to approve, accept the minutes from September 2nd. So it can be in official minutes. And I'll go ahead and call for the vote on that. Those in favor, say aye.
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 So just to know, Gary Grenson, board member, has also joined the meeting. So, oh, Gary, you're there, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you vote in favor?
Who's the opposed? Who's on?
Gary.
Yes.
Oh, Gary's on.
He votes in favor too, so it'd be 4.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they Gary. So 3 in favor, 0 opposed on accepting the minutes from the last board meeting, which is September 2nd.
Okay.
Then moving to the next item, approval of vouchers that were signed in between board meetings.
So there are several vouchers.
A
We
lot
have
of vouchers that,
payroll voucher 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's actual payroll. And we had 5, and then we have 5.01 because there was a correction that needed to be made. And then we have AP as accounts payable. So that's actually paying the bills, paying our vendors and everything. So they range from 3808 down to 3818. So we would ask the board to approve those vouchers.
these that we have right here are not on here.
So,
Been gotten
right.
on the dates.
Mhm.
Okay. And some of the vouchers that we all haven't signed, I think we need to come in. So some of these vouchers so they can pay the bills and so forth. Okay.
Board member McKay would like to go ahead and approve the vouchers as presented.
Okay. Is there a second?
And I'll second on that. I'll second on that.
Gary seconds the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 in favor.
4.
Favor, 0 opposed. Thank you. On to the next item. This thing.
Madam President, the next item is 4.5, approval of the consolidated board report from July 1 to October 2nd. So basically that's first quarter. It's a 40-page document, but it basically shows all the different accounts and where we are currently. Right now, our budget, looking at all the different funds from impact aid and M&O, maintenance and operations, we have a budget balance of $1,472,429.23. Our fund 001, which is M&O, that was, the budget was $7,683,227. We've encumbered a large chunk of that, and most of that encumbrance is salaries because we go in at the beginning of the year and encumber everybody's salaries and benefits. So that's already spoken for. Financially, it's not shown, well, actually, it's hard for me to see this on the screen, but we're actually doing very well with the CARES Act and the governor's enrollment stabilization fund, and just using our regular funds. We've hardly touched impact aid at all this year, and we're working as much as we can to save that, but to use all the other funds first. And just a quick note on impact aid. The United States House of Representatives passed the relief bill for impact aid about attendance and counting students for this year. They sent it to the Senate. I don't think the Senate has acted on it yet, but we keep getting updates from NAFIS on that. So I'll let the board know when that's done. But it usually has very broad support. So, and really what that would do is we would be able to just use last year's student numbers and count, so we wouldn't have to redo the whole thing this year, because with COVID and quarantines and isolation, it's hard to get all that completed. So with that, we just need a motion and a second to accept the consolidated board report.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And Tommy seconded.
Yes, Tommy seconded. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did Gary?
Aye.
Gary votes in favor as well.
Okay.
Gary votes in favor as well.
4 in favor, 0 opposed?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. The next item, 4.6. And we have a policy service.
So
Okay,
I don't know what that is. Madam President, members of the board, item 4.6 is a little unusual. It's a policy adoption, but what ASBA is recommending and what we are recommending is not to do the first and second read that we would normally do, and just have the board adopt this basically as an emergency adoption. This is in result of the United States Department of Education in Washington, D.C., changing regulations around Title IX. Title IX, this particular aspect has to do with reporting and investigation of sexual harassment claims, well, mainly sexual harassment claims or allegations of abuse, and it really focuses more on the university level, but there are some pieces in there that do talk about K-12. Under the previous presidential administration, under the Obama administration, they revised Title IX and made it much more restrictive as to how we were supposed to investigate, and really broadened the definitions of what sexual harassment would be. Now, this current administration, the Trump administration and Secretary DeVos have taken that back down to a more, how do I say it? They've given, I guess, more rights back to the accused. So if somebody is accused of sexual harassment, previously, the way the investigation worked, now under the Trump administration and Secretary DeVos, they've balanced it out, is what they're basically between the accuser and the accused. Because this is a federal regulation, we don't really have a choice but to adopt it because it is actual federal guidelines related to Title IX, which is part of the Every Student Succeeds. When we do the statement of assurance, that we have to abide by all of those. So what ASBA is recommending, they did a policy advisory based on those changes. And what they're recommending is, instead of doing the first read and second read, the board just adopts it and implements it in one meeting under an emergency adoption of policy.
So did everybody get the policy service advisory, volume 32? Okay, good. I need a motion second to go ahead and approve. Okay, thank you, Ramona. Motion. There's second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Tommy. Any question? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried with 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item, discussion and possible action to approve off-contract employees for work during the fall break.
So Madam President, members of the board, this work has already happened, so this is more of a ratification. The superintendent has the authority to temporarily hire people between board meetings. The way our calendar works, anybody that's on a 10-month or 11-month contract doesn't work during fall break. So what we did in the maintenance department is brought in some of our custodial and other staff to work on the housing renovations and to do some work on campus. And then we also had Francine and Arlene from our ELL and special education come in, and Kamisha Yazi from the middle school, because they were doing packets and stuff. So basically this was just work during that fall break week that's off their contract. They were paid their regular hourly rate just on a timesheet. So we're asking the board to ratify that under the superintendent's authority to hire between board meetings. And this was just for that 5-day period.
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
go ahead and motion to approve.
motion for approval. Tom.
But
Second by Ramona.
I just got a question.
Okay.
Does this any of these 12 months or 12 months off too during the fall break?
None of these individuals are 12-month. They're either custodial or a couple of them are bus drivers, but nobody is currently a 12-month employee.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I thought these people were 12 months. Okay,
We have very few 12-month people that actually work over the breaks.
all right. There's a motion second on the floor, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
is carried with 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you. Next item.
Madam President, members of the board, the next item, and I see Jonathan popped in here on my view. Discussion of possible action to approve the annual financial report or the AFR for fiscal year 2020. So that's the school year that ended this past June 30th. We have an annual submission report that we do to the state. The attachments were there in the board packet for you to review. I will stop screen sharing so Jonathan can start, and where's my button? Stop sharing. Okay, so Jonathan, you are on.
Fantastic. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jonathan.
It's that time of year again. We've finalized our 2020 numbers. So let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen.
It's not on the screen.
There we go. Sharing the wrong screen, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. All right. And in your supporting documents, you should have a PDF version of the Excel financial summary. So this is just a brief summary on the PowerPoint I'm presenting to you of what our expenses were for 2020, last school year. So let me begin. So what is the AFR? The AFR is all our revenues and expenditures for everything we received and spent for last school year. This is actual numbers. It's not anything budgeted. So we go back and we get back into our old numbers and kind of recode everything, put everything where it's supposed to go. And this is due tomorrow. So we really need your blessing tonight, hopefully. And we will submit this tomorrow. And we will just need a couple signatures from those available. And if you're available, I hope Tommy's able to come by tomorrow to sign this if it's approved tonight. And then we upload it to the ADE website. This is kind of a layout of the AFR. It breaks it down by M&O, Prop 301. Capital is kind of, and then our grants. So it kind of breaks it down by sections, and it kind of gives you an easier way to look at all the numbers that come through. So here's a breakdown of our 2 district funds. It doesn't include what federal programs gets, and these are our 2 main components of our school district. So we received $8.5 million in revenue from Impact Aid last school year and $7.5 million from the state M&O. So this is actual numbers. So this is what we receive for every student. Remember, Impact Aid counts numbers a year behind, but M&O was current year, last school year, and it is pending still current school year this year, pending any legislation that gets passed. And we spent $8.5 million in Impact Aid and $7.6 million in M&O. And that last line, ending balance, is what the current cash balance is. So we have $13 million in Impact Aid cash and $1 million in M&O cash. We're carrying over $14 million to this school year. And that's actual straight numbers right now. And Prop 301, I want to give you guys a breakdown of what, how much we spent, how much each teacher kind of, all the teachers certified received some funding from Prop 301 last school year. And last school year, we paid out the most that we have basically in my tenure here. To base salaries, we paid $86,192. And to Fund 12, which was their performance pay, which you guys approved last school year, it has all the performance indicators on the testing. I believe there's surveys that go out and everything that factors into that. We paid out $351,588 to our teachers last school year. And then Fund 13, $172,605. So that totals to $610,000. That's quite a hefty amount. So I'm really happy about that. We need to reduce those. And then Prop 301, what do we have now? It still looks pretty good. We have $150,000 in their base salaries, performance pay $157,000. That's down quite a bit from last school year. And $157,000 Fund 13. So currently we have just under $500,000 for the teachers available for this school year. Our capital assets did increase, and this was due to the building improvements to the middle school. And this was captured in last school year. So that building improvements, $57 million went up. So last school year was worth $56 million. It's because we're doing the improvements to the middle school roof. So that extra million is counted in there in last school year. So if you look at what we had last school year, our total was $73 million, what our capital assets are valued at. This school year, it's valued at $74 million. So we gained that extra million from that brand new roof. Not quite done yet. They're in the final stages of finishing that middle school roof. And this is just a budget summary of federal projects. It kind of gives you what all the different funds that we received on that end. And this really helps out through a school year. This is what we try to spend first before we start getting into our M&O and Impact Aid funds. So total for revenues was 11 million. We spent 10 million. And right now our ending balance is 13 million. Thanks mostly to the second to last line, Impact Aid, Fund 378, has 13 million in there. And I'm not too sure if you guys can see this slide too well, but this is a breakdown of M&O and Impact Aid, how much we spent. So we spent $16,193,123 last school year. A majority of that was salaries, 53% on that little blue pie there, 8.6 million on salaries. Benefits is the second biggest one, 18%, 2.8 million. And then professional services, which is more of our SPED services, ESS services. That was about 682,000. That's OT, PT, and all of that. And also our maintenance services for upkeep. Purchase property services for about 4%, about $500,000. That is more of our, everything broken down here. So that is more of our disposal services. Navajo sanitation took a big chunk of that one. So that was about $117,000 there. But that's, thankfully, some of that money will be recouped this school year because we started our own garbage disposal program, which is going very well. That is quite amazing. And we have our own recycling program now too. And other purchase services there, the other $500,000 is mostly our telephone and items like that. And then of course our supply budget, we do spend quite a lot on our supplies. That is a significant part of our budget. And then property, all our property services, maintenance, eats a big chunk of that as well. So that's kind of an overall breakdown. And total with federal funds, we spent 16 million just on state and impact aid, including federal funds. Total overall, we spent 18 million last school year. And of course, the majority of that is our salaries and benefits. And this is a real good highlight. Our food service last school year, we always been running in the red until last school year. Last year, we brought in a revenue of 1.1 million into our food service, and only spending 780,000, gaining 329,000. That's the first time that's happened.
Wow.
So that's the first time we actually turned a profit on food service. Normally we're losing 200 to 300,000. So that was a big difference. So that's thanks to Mia and her team on the food service side. They do a tremendous job. And she really understands financials and ordering stuff and getting commodities here. So she does a really well job. So that's kind of a breakdown of what I had. I wanted to give a time for questions if anybody had any questions. And let me see if I could switch my screen. Okay. And let's see if I can show you some other numbers real quick. I want to kind of show you guys just a quick of how the AFR is. So of course we have the signature page. We have new board members. So I just want to go through this real quick. Here's our page one. It really has everything that you need in this one financial document. And if you guys really want to break it down into, how much we spent in salaries, employee benefits and everything, you can, I'm not sure. Are you guys seeing my Excel spreadsheet? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this is what you guys have in your documents. You can see how much revenue we got for like Prop 301. And then it breaks it down. Really, it's really nice. You have all your federal projects here. So I just broke down what is in the slides just basically off of this sheet. So, you know, I want you guys to get a little more comfortable with this, and you know, everything we have is accounted for. It's we do. I think I give everybody a tremendous job every year, and we, you know, this is our 9th year receiving an award for our financials. So that's just kind of a breakdown of everything, and of course, our summary page here breaks, you know, everything down as well. So all your revenues are here, all how much we spent. And I don't know if you guys have any questions, but that's kind of my presentation for this evening.
Just got a question, Jonathan. Is there?
Tommy got a question?
Yes, I got a question. I just want to ask when will we be able to see how much we've saved for having our own trash, our own pickup service, and our own taking it to St. Joe's? When do you think we'll be able to see if we have a positive or if we're breaking even?
We could probably,
How long do you think that will take? I know we just started back in.
it would be the end of the year probably before we have actual final numbers, but we already know sort of month to month what the difference has been, so we could project something out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cost per month is considerably less than what we were paying, but you have to remember in this first year, we also bought the trash truck. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at the entire project, we still have, this first year took a lot because we bought the trash truck and then we bought all the trash bins, but in the staff housing and here on campus. But the actual month-to-month service fees are considerably less, but we could project that out and just have that next month.
Okay. That'll work.
Okay.
So then we need a motion and a second to.
Oh, I need a motion and a second.
With that, I'll go ahead and motion for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Ramona seconds the motion. If no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gary? Is he still on the line?
Aye.
Oh, Gary votes aye.
Okay, there he is. 4 in favor, 0. Motion is carried. Thank you.
And then reminder, the 2 board members that are here, don't run off until you've signed the document. And then if we could get Tommy and or Gary to stop by, or we could even run it to you tomorrow, because I believe we need 3 board member signatures on it to submit it, and the deadline is tomorrow. So
I'll try to be there by 9 or 9:30.
okay, great, thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, next item on the agenda is, where are we? Oh, 4.9. Discussion of possible actions to approve the hire of the following Pinion High School sponsors for this current school year. So even though we're virtual, we do still have student activities going on through Zoom meetings, through Google, through other kinds of things. At all 3 schools, Girl Scouts are going. I mean, a lot of different clubs and organizations are meeting. They're just meeting through Zoom or in virtual capacities. So what we're asking the board here is to approve Marvin Tom as the high school freshman class sponsor, Amy Dudley as the sophomore class sponsor, Robert Labarge as the junior class sponsor, Jimmy Arredondo as the senior class sponsor, and Lauren Omoff as the student council sponsor for Pinion High School. And many of these activities have already started. It's been a little bit of a slow go because of our virtual environment, but we are in the process of doing all of these different activities.
Okay. Yes, Tommy, can you go ahead and run the meeting for a while? I'm going to take a break. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and, I guess, I'll go ahead and motion for approval. There's a second to the motion. Go ahead. Take my vote.
Are you voting in favor?
There's a motion. I think
you're voting
Bessie wants to make it known that she voted in favor. Do we have a second on this agenda?
Yeah, Ramona vote,
I'll
or
second
Ramona
on
second.
that.
Okay, there's a motion by Bessie, second by Ramona. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make it
And
known
Bessie voted,
that Bessie voted yes. 4-0-0. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 4.10, discussion and possible action to approve the resignation of the following Pinion Elementary School site team leaders. Vivian Denny, who is the first grade site team leader, and Virginia Etzity, who is the fourth grade site team leader. They did not resign their teaching positions. This is just the extra duty position of being the site team leader. So what we would do, and then 4.11 is to hire their replacements. So because they did the first quarter, what we do is kind of split the stipends. So the two that have resigned would get the first quarter, and then the two that are being hired would get the other 3 quarters of the year, because there's a stipend attached to those positions.
There's a motion that was presented.
Is there, can you, Ramona, can you hear? Is there a
I'll
motion?
second that.
Well, I heard Gary say second, but I don't know if there was a motion.
Is there a motion yet?
Well, Ramona is now motioning, and Gary had said before that he was seconding, but we hadn't had a motion yet. So if that still applies, Gary, then we have a motion and a second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and motion to approve.
No, Ramona motioned and Gary seconded, so.
Oh, okay. There's a motion for approval by Ramona, second by Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0-0. 3-0-0. Motion carries. Next item.
Then the next item, 4.11, is to hire the 2 replacements for the ones in the previous item, and that would be Roxanne Rodriguez for first grade site team leader and Jane May Cruz for the fourth grade site team leader.
There's a discussion, possible action to approve hire for the following site team leaders: P.S. Roxanne Rodriguez and Jane May Cruz. Do I have a motion?
A motion for approval.
Got a motion from Gary. I'll go ahead and second it. There's a motion and second to this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I'm back. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 4
I'll
in
do that.
favor.
Okay, 4 in favor, 0 opposed,
Oh,
0 abstain. Motion carries. I'll go ahead and pass this back to Bessie.
okay. Thank you, Shiaz.
Oh.
Next item, where are we?
Next item is 4.12, discussion and possible action to improve the Employee Code of Conduct, or the ECOC, administrative guidelines and regulations. What this is, and it's a very long document, and if you haven't had a chance to really review it, what I would suggest, if you want more information, is that we table it and bring it back. because there's a lot in here. I know you might not have had a lot of time really reading detail. Years ago, we had an employee code of conduct, and then before I became superintendent for, I'm not exactly sure what reasons, it was removed. We've worked with Upslope Solutions, which is a group of former superintendents and lawyers who do this for Arizona. They're actually based in Phoenix, and they do work in Arizona and all around the country, basically creating this. And what the employee code of conduct, because if you look at our governing board policies for staff discipline and staff conduct, it talks about like progressive discipline, it talks about different things, but there's really no specific guidelines in there of how it works. And that's what the employee code of conduct would do, is it would sort of lay out the steps of what is progressive discipline, how severe are the different cases. And the reason an employee code of conduct is important and is a good idea is then that means that the guidelines are the same for all employees. So it's not so much a case by case, or this administrator thought this and that administrator thought that, that it would be more laid out as to how the progressive discipline works, what the code or what the expectations are, what the consequences are for different infractions. And this is all just staff. This doesn't have anything to do with students. So I know it's 40 something pages long, I think. If you haven't had a chance, what I would suggest is that you could motion to table, and then you'll have time to really read it and kind of digest it and think if you've got questions. And then we can bring it back at the next meeting and talk about it and then go from there.
Okay, with that, I want a motion to table, the ECOC administrative guidelines and resolutions, for further review by the board.
Okay, is there a second to the motion? This is to table. Do you want a table? Or do you want to go ahead and approve?
Well, and if you're comfortable, you can approve it. It's really up to you. I just know that it's a lot, and if you didn't have time to really read it and you had questions,
Yeah.
you could certainly table it. But if you're comfortable, you could also approve it. I mean, it's really up to you.
I guess we really don't have anything to change because it's usually not. It's already drafted by ASBA and coming down from the federal. That's what I think about this one.
Well, for me, I know I've worked with it before, and I know this brings back the rubric system that I've always talked about.
Uh-huh.
And this it aids the supervisors
Yeah.
how to properly discipline. So, and this is another document to help supervisors when we ask for documentations. So I pretty much still remember. There's probably just a few changes here and there.
It's very similar to what we had before. I think it's a little more detailed and up to date. And of course, any policy, governing board policy changes are reflected in there from what it was years ago.
So Ramona motions to table it for more review. And if whenever you want to second to table it, or you can do a substitute motion to approve. If you feel comfortable that it's okay.
I'll go ahead and second out that motion. I haven't had the time to review that.
So you want to go ahead and second the tabling?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a second to tabling this policy advisory volume 32 to the next board meeting. All those in favor of tabling the motion? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Aye. Four ayes to table the motion, to table this item, I mean. Okay, 4 in favor, 0 opposed, none abstaining. Thank you. It's tabled till the next board meeting. Moving to the next,
Item 4.13, discussion of possible action to approve the security, well, it says security supervisor job description, but the actual job title would change to security or director of security. When the previous security supervisor transferred to a new position in the district, we closed the security supervisor position and placed it under facilities. But there's been recommendations from the board to reopen the position. So I took what was a very outdated job description and did some research of what other schools have as far as their directors of security, especially now in the age of safety plans and drills and all the things that we do now that we didn't used to do way back when. So updated it to a director of security, which is a 12-month position. It would be on the administrative placement schedule, basically the same as facilities and transportation director, that same area. It's an exempt position because it is administrative, so it wouldn't be a time clock position. We listed the qualifications. One of the board members who's not on tonight, I had a discussion with him and he had suggested if the board, and this is just a draft, so we can certainly do this, that it says high school diploma required, but then also adding like an AA degree or something to it because it is a director position. That would be something that the board could certainly do. Must have knowledge of regulations and statutes about safety regarding, of course, regulations for Arizona, but also Navajo Nation. Practices and procedures. I won't read the whole thing, but obviously there are directors, so they would be supervising the security staff. They need to be calm in stressful situations because they would be the first one, basically, if there was an emergency, they would be the one who would be the incident commander. They would need clear background checks. They would have to have a driver's license because driving is involved. Bilingual Navajo English would be preferred. Some of these are similar to all, like the proven successful employment record. These are on all our job descriptions. And then the duties and responsibilities. They would supervise, they will maintain the different aspects of this. They would become the safety team leader, participate in the FEMA training. They would evaluate the security personnel. They'd report to the superintendent because it's a director position. And they would be our key person in terms of emergency communications with Navajo County, with the state of Arizona, and Navajo Nation. Basically,
right?
Joyce and I are asking the board, if you have any revisions, we can certainly do that, and then to approve the job description so we could begin advertising for the position.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the item.
high school diploma required and prefer someone with an AA degree. That might help because you need people with writing skills and that can be able to write things down other than everything. We've been going through mostly verbal in the past I said this, I know I told him that kind of thing. So they don't put it in writing. From now on, they need to start writing things down. Is there something about writing down here?
The ability to communicate orally and in writing. It's number 13. Yeah, that's in here.
I remember the security report was all the same every month. And that shows the person, the individual didn't really have the writing skills, but has the supervisory position. I think that was difficult for the individual.
I can't hear Bessie.
Okay.
Gary, did you have?
Should we add?
I can't hear Bessie what she's saying.
Oh, they said they can't. You're not muted, so.
Do I have a motion to put the AA required, AA?
What about, an individual having veteran status?
What's that?
Veteran instead of an AA degree?
Well, still AA and maybe, you can,
Well, it's veteran, I think, get points. Joyce?
Well, that could be included
Yeah, they usually.
in the selection criteria. Yeah.
There's points for if they have that kind of experience. Okay, I'll need a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Tommy motions to approve.
Okay. With the AA degree?
I'll second on that.
Second by
Gary.
I should put on, or are we gonna add the AA? Or just leave it as it is?
I can't hear what Bessie said. Can you?
Tommy, is the motioning party, are you recommending adding the AA degree along with the high school diploma?
But what would the AA degree be?
Just an AA degree. I mean, it doesn't have to be in any particular thing, just college credits.
College credit, and I think I heard something about military background or police background. Would that suffice?
Well, it could be AA degree or previous law enforcement or military experience. We could put all that in number one.
Yeah. That sounds better.
So number one could say high school diploma required, and then AA degree or previous law enforcement or previous military experience. So they could qualify under any of those three.
Yes.
Okay, so Tommy's amending that motion. Gary, you seconded. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, it is. Oh, you're on mute now, Bessie.
Okay.
After the diploma required. With that addition, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Tommy, did you?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Tommy voted. So it's 4-0-0. 4.14 then, we could have just put this together in one item. We didn't really need to do them separately, but so now it's just discussion of possible action to advertise. So you've approved the job description. Now you're just approving that we actually post it as a vacancy and start the process of hiring someone.
I'll second.
Tommy seconds.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion
Aye.
Aye.
carried with 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you.
4.15 is discussion of possible action to schedule a special board meeting towards the end of October, maybe that last week before Halloween, which is on the Saturday. Conduct the annual evaluation of the superintendent per policy CBI. The evaluation and contract discussion and everything is coming due, but with COVID and everything, I'm trying not to put any items off to the last minute, that we're trying to be a little ahead of the game. Should we have more of a strict lockdown and can't have a board meeting or something, that we still need in compliance. This item is not, Joyce, we sent you the documents and everything via email, and I think Joyce has paper documents for you as well. This is just to look at your calendars and just pick a date and schedule a special meeting. This is pretty much done in executive session. I don't know if there's a particular date that works better for board members, or a day of the week of that week, or.
Well,
Well, it could be the 20th, or it could go into November if that worked. Let me. November 4th, well, we wouldn't do it on the board meeting day, because November 11th is a holiday, that's Veterans Day, that's a Wednesday, but it could be the 10th, the Tuesday.
10th of November?
Yeah, because Wednesday, the 11th is Veterans Day, so there's no school, no work, everything's closed on the Wednesday, but it could be the Tuesday, the 10th, if that works for everyone.
How's everybody's schedule for special session with
Oh, Bessie, you're on mute. I don't know if they can hear you.
November?
I can't hear Bessie.
Bessie, you're on mute. We're having a hard time. For some reason, Bessie's having microphone issues, but we'll try to fix that. That's why, I'm sorry, that's why you can't hear. What she was suggesting is either next Tuesday, which I believe is the 20th, or November 10th, which is a Tuesday. Does that work for either, for the other board members?
Next week's okay with me.
Any day will work for me.
I'm sorry, Gary, what did you say?
Any day is good for me.
Okay.
I'm on vacation, so.
Okay. So we could do Tuesday the 20th if that works.
At what time?
5 o'clock. I know some of you are working.
Okay, I know you can hear me. My mic is not working.
Basically, then the motion would be, if it works for everybody, to schedule a special meeting on Tuesday the 20th, which would be next Tuesday.
Superintendent evaluation. Don't add other things on the agenda.
No, it would just be,
I want to go ahead and motion to schedule a special board meeting on October 20th at 5 p.m. for the annual evaluation of the superintendent for policy CPI.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Tommy seconded.
Okay.
At
So
5
there's a
p.m.
motion and a second. Is there a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Four in favor.
Yes, 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. So we will schedule that and we'll send out all the documents and I'll schedule the
It's
meeting.
at 5 p.m., right? It's at 5?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock then, because I know some have commitments or work schedules, so we can just leave it at 5. Because Bessie's having microphone issues. She is still here, but the next items, executive session is only if we need to go into executive session. If you take a look at the personnel items, is there anything we need to go into executive session for? 6.4, we don't, the hire of Jefferson Ben, we don't have his executive session notice, so we can't go into executive session for that one. And then to reminder, when we adopted the agenda, we removed 6.6 because she withdrew her resignation. So I don't know if you heard, but Bessie motioned to approve basically 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. Bessie motions to approve them all in one motion.
I'll second, and I have a question.
I'll second on it.
Or, okay, so Tommy seconded first and he has a question. So what was your question, Tommy?
All backgrounds were done on these individuals, the ones that we're going to hire.
Yes, everybody has a clear background. They've completed all of the requirements, so they have their background checks, yes.
Okay.
So there's a motion and a second to approve. Well, let me just read them quick so they're in the record. So the 6.1 is to hire Mr. Warren Hood as our waste management technician in the maintenance department. He would be the trash truck and recycling truck driver. Discussion possible action to hire a custodian, Mr. Gilbert Bly. To hire custodian, Jerry Jack Jr. To hire bus driver, Mr. Jefferson Ben at grade 5, step 6. And then to accept the resignations of Lucinda Helton, who's resigning for personal reasons, and I would recommend the board accept that. And Jefferson Foster, whose certificate expired, CTE certificate expired. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. I'm sorry, I'm speaking for Bessie because her microphone's not working.
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'm sure you heard that.
Second.
She took her back. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Tommy seconds. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
4 in favor, 0 opposed. Meeting is adjourned at 7:25 p.m. Thank you all who tuned in on YouTube. And it will post tomorrow, so you can go back and rewatch the meeting if you would like to. Thank you, board members, for your time tonight. And I think curfew time changed, so you have a little time to get home. I don't think it's till 9 now, so. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, staff. Thank you, board members. You guys stay safe. Mask up, social distance, wash your hands, or just stay home.
Gary, you have can you text me? I think you still have my number. Ramona would like your phone number about an issue, not a board issue, but a separate issue. You can text it to me or. But with that, I'll end the meeting and then have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Yep.